So someone asked me a question. There was a conversation I once had with Rav Avram Shor. So he said, how many Sheilos do you get a week? In Lakewood, the Rav gets... recently was a week I clocked about 50 Sheilos I had. Wow. And people ask Sheilos Lamaisa, so to the credit of Beis Menachem Mendel. So this person asked the Shaila, and she asked it as a Shaila, not only as a piece of information. He works very hard, and not always could he pick up the phone with a handheld device, so he has a thing in his ear, chulu. So, but it's hard for him to hang up, but he relies on the other person to hang up. Because usually the other person hangs up, but sometimes the other person doesn't hang up. Recently, someone called him, a client, and then he was expecting the other person to hang up. The person didn't hang up, and he ends up hearing a very juicy exchange between this guy and his wife. So his shaila is he mechuyev from today on to make that effort to hang up every phone call, or is it not his responsibility? Listen, hang up. You don't want others to know your private stuff. Hang up your phone.
It's like reading a letter, someone's letter.
Oh.
Not to talk private.
In Valoshin, Reb Chaim Valoshin, he told the secretary to open every letter every time. He wants to know what's going on. So once the secretary opened the letter, and Talmud had a letter from his wife. She had a baby boy. He was so besimcha, if I forgot, he's not supposed to tell you. He went in the base, he says, Mazel Tov, Mazel, what's Mazel Tov, you had a baby boy. So the Talmud says, from which wife? So the Bidal says, what? Oisvorf, the Chedem de Rabbeinu Gershom. 2 wives? He said, yeah, Chedem de Rabbeinu Gershom to read a letter.
You don't know if the story is true. You don't know if it's true. Good. Might not be true.
No, but it's definitely not true that he was over on the Rabbeinu Gershom with the letter, because he's the Rosh Hashiva. All the letters belong to him. He's the Rosh Hashiva. The Rosh Hashiva. He can decide. He can read all the letters he wants. Anyway, one of the Talmidim, like he said,
he held that it was mutter.
Exactly, because there were a lot of spies and maskilim in those days.
Right. He felt it was mutter for him.
The Rabbi used to open every letter, or the client, or somebody else?
He opened up every letter.
He himself.
The Rabbi opened up. It was very private.
And he wouldn't use a piece. He would do it with a finger.
Right.
He said it was closed with tears. You can't open up with a metal piece.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
So, someone really touched the main nerve of the Shaila, because why would it be different information, someone else's information in a letter than someone else's information from a telephone? They might be different, but let's look at this. Like the earlier Yisrael already dealt with this. And one of the main Rosh Medagri in this sugya is in the Sheilos Tshuvas Chikike Leiv. From Hagon, Reb Chaim Palaji. I mentioned here that in the summer I had the schus to go to Medavan and Eskeva. I was always like, you see some Gedolei Yisrael, you see pictures of them. They're like Murimam. You see the tzura, you see the beautiful tzura, the beautiful face. The Dvar Pella is that today there's hardly any Jews left over there in Turkey, in Izmir. We used to be a Irvein B'Yisrael, and there's an Arab that takes care of Reb Chaim's house. He washes the floors. I'm telling you, he takes care of the house. You could see that he goes in with be'ema v'yira to Reb Chaim's house. He probably gets paid. He gets paid for it, but still, who's looking at how many times he's there? You could see that he treats Reb Chaim's house, and he feels that there's the kedusha there. And if you organize before, so he opens the house. If you know that. So Reb Chaim brings an unbelievable raya from Befedish, from a posuk for this thing that you're not allowed to read someone's letter. So what's the raya? It's brought in Malachim. The Torah tells us the conversation that David HaMelech has with his son before he dies, and he says, "You remember Asher Osa Li Yoyev. Yoyev did to me."
This week's Haftarah, yeah. This Vayechi Haftarah.
Yeah. Asher Osa Li Yoyev. Wow. Shkochel Yona. Wow. Thank you. Asher Osa Li Yoyev. Yoyev did to me. So later he says a list of things. He didn't do anything personal against David. Rashi says from the Medrash Tanchuma, I wrote a letter, and he showed the letters to others. Who gave him the right to show the letter to others? What letter? Ken Shemein, he wrote to him as a state secret. Because David the Melech lived with the wife of Uriah Hitti, Batsheva. After he slept with her, he wanted Uriah to be killed. That was the best way to finish the whole story.
That's not why he kind of killed him.
The Gemara has a whole thing that's really was a murder by Malchus. I'm telling you, Pshuta Shalmekra.
That was an easier way.
So he gave Uriah a letter and he said, "Bring it to Yoav." In the letter, it said that when the Milchama gets close, you put him in the front line. Make sure that he gets killed. The Kachava Yoav made sure that he got killed. But afterwards, according to the Medrash Tanchuma, Yoav went around and he went to Mr. Schiff and to Mr. Nadler and at Gezokt, and there was a whole thing, and there was a whole investigation that it was he was using one of person
Abuse of power.
Abuse of power.
Did he get impeached?
So David the Melech said, who gave him the right? It was a letter that was written to him, and he had no right to show it to anyone. Ad kedei kach, you see that because L'chayr David the Melech did tshuva from the whole thing, but still, you had no right. You had no right to go because you heard what I said on the phone or information that I wrote in the letter. You had no right to go share it with others. Akaponim. Let's look inside. The Be'er Goyla writes these words in Yer Deh Sof Siman Shin Lamadal. It's funny. Usually the Be'er Goyla brings the Mokar of Halachas, and that Siman is a very zaftike Be'er Goyla, and he writes Halachas. So what does he write? Chedem shaloi lides b'ksav chavede shaloi b'rishus elim kein zorke. You're not allowed to look at a letter that your friend wrote unless he threw it out in the garbage. Obviously, he feels that it's not important. If he thought it was important, he would have used the shredder. Since he threw it out, then you're allowed to look. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry.
They did have scissors.
So there's okay. You do a minig Yisrael that there is, if you really want to make sure that even if you throw it out, that you forgot to put it in the shredder, that you write these words, ufagin de ragam, whatever, which is a Rosh Toivis, poiritz gede ishchen nochesh, de Rabbeinu Gershom oir agoyla. You write these two words, fagin de Rabbeinu Gershom oir agoyla.
Wow, what's fagin?
Poiritz gede ishchen nochesh. It's a Rosh Toivis. You have the paper? Okay, so Rabbeinu Gershon made many charomim, and this is one of the charomim that he made. So Shakel V'Tarya is really the most mistabed. Acharim talk about it. The most logical way to say is like this. Really, this is something that's also anyway, and it makes sense. But people didn't take so seriously this isur. Stealing someone else's information, private information. So Rabbeinu Gershon made it into a chedem here. So therefore he just wanted to. He just wanted to.
He brings in the sefer.
One second. So he added to it a chedem. What's negeya that he added a chedem to it? Because there's a whole discussion about the chedem and Rabbeinu Gershon, because he said he only made it until the end of his elef. There's a big misconception. People say that Rabbeinu Gershon made his Gzeidas for 1,000 years. He didn't make it for 1,000 years. He made it for maybe less than 300 years. He said until the end of Elef HaChamishi. So, however, many of his Gzeidas were Klal Yisrael kept on keeping it. But this seems to be that Be'etzem, it's Be'emes also. Elamai, he added to it a Toikif with a Chedim. And the emes there's a lot of shaklavataris about this, and the interesting thing is that this you find mostly discussed in Sheilos Tshuvos of Chachmei Sfarad. I don't mean Sfarad, Spain. I mean like Sephardi Jews. Shma mino that the Sephardi Jews accepted this b'chol toikev ois. B'chol toikev ois. All kinds of Sheilos. Are you allowed to look at a postcard or dafka this thing that flies to a letter? What happens if a guy and you see a letter in someone else's mailbox, you think that has to do with you, and it's sensitive information, and it might be against you. So there is a question that came up to the Chikik Elev, Reb Chaim Palaji. The guy said had a neighbor, a goy, and the goy mastered against him. He did some illegal extension to his house. Now he sees a letter came to the goy's house. he thinks it has to do with this sichsuch. When he
Does the Chaim apply to Goyim?
Oh, that was his question to the Chaim. Does this Chaim apply to Goyim?
But even if it would be a Yid and the thing from the government came, couldn't it?
Also, double Sheilos. If Chaim says, Agav Urcha, you have to ask this question. If Chaim says, he thinks there's 5 reasons why it should be also to look at someone else's information. Number 1, again, in second paragraph, Chikikei Lev, Agon Chaim Palaji, brings a Sheilah that Shaykh by a Doid that's thinking bad things about a Yid, and he writes a few reasons for this din. Aleph is Geneva. That's Geneva's das. It's Geneva's das. Number 2, he says, is Gzela. The Gemara says, Sheilos Shalemidas Gazlanu. Number 3, Loi Teilech Rochel. You're looking for dirt on your friend. You're looking for information on your friend. Number 4, you wouldn't want other people to know your private information, so don't stick your nose into other private information. Number 5, it's a semi-mazik, just like the Gemara has a concept of hezek and iya. Here's also, it's a hezek by putting your nose into his information. These are the 5 reasons. And he brings a raif, as I said from Rashi, that brings the medrash Tanchuma she'osa li yoya. He says that im timtzaloyme, that the reason really is gneving zela shaykh by a goy, because gneve and gzela is 100% shaykh by a goy, just like by a yid. But if you say that it's because of the chilus, it says loy teilech rochel ba'amecha. If it's the mitzvah of ava, it's avahafta l're'acha. And the truth is, even if it's mazik, there's certain things that we say because the goyim were not nizer, so ahmed veitir mamoinam. So he says, in his case, he says for sure, because there's a concept of a goy that matzel miyodam, and the goy is going yered l'teichayecha, so you're mutter to open the letter. However, he says, if the same case would have been a yid, you can't trust yourself. Maybe you decided that he's yered l'teichayecha. You have to go to a bezdin. Then the bezdin should decide. The bezdin should decide if you're yered l'chayecha. It's interesting that a lot of the Ashkenaz poskim write that it's, if you think that the letter is against you, if you really have a strong feeling about it, you could throw it in the garbage, but you still don't have the right to open it. Burn it to throw it in the garbage, but don't open it.
Unless it says where the cops are coming, what block they're coming after you.
No, so then go to a bezdin and they'll be done. They'll be done if the.
This is something that's. Why did it just start with Ben Gershon? You have to say that could be that it became Mekum. I mean, it's Parsha that you can't do this because of all these reasons.
Right. So
why did Ben Gershon have to make
like you said, that it might have been a little kula on it, and he wanted to say that it's a very serious thing.
Right.
Does this apply also to public information?
No, we're not.
It's a good
Why should
shot.
it be public? If it's public,
So
it's public.
Let's say the newspaper.
Right now, I left him with him before. Right now, I'm helping my father do his business.
Yeah.
He helps people in foreclosures, whatever, Bakal Mikol. So court dates. You see who's in foreclosure. If you're in foreclosure, you don't want the whole world knowing you're in foreclosure. You don't want the whole world knowing the bank's about to take your house.
Right. Just the people that have business.
The information is public information. You see what court information there is. Everything has to be filed publicly for transparency reasons. And legally, they do it for transparency reasons. But at the same time, you also
most of the reasons here wouldn't apply. It wouldn't apply to Gneva and Zela because the information is already in public. It wouldn't excite a chilus. Huh?
You're allowed to read it. You're allowed to go online and start looking up people's dirt.
Oh, you're allowed to search.
Because it's already, you're not doing the Gneva. The Gneva was already done, and the information became public.
It's Malchus. It's not even Gneva. It's Dina de Malchus. Freedom of information. The person has to have freedom of information. People have to know what's doing in the person's house. You have to know what mortgage he took, when he took it. Everything has.
Right.
The government decided that everything's free.
the problem. The biggest problem is you're digging up dirt on someone.
Oh, so that might be a problem. If you're doing it l'tzoyrach to dig up dirt, it's not avas yisrael. It's not avas yisrael because avas yisrael is madaloch soni l'chavrech lo yitavid. But then it's different. So maybe you're helping a person. When you're helping a person, then it wouldn't be daloch soni l'chavrech lo
The
yitavid.
is if it's a parnasa and you come out exploiting it. You're not really exploiting. I use the word exploiting it, but I can't think of a better word for it. It's you're making a parnasa.
Right.
So the Sheilah is you're going to them. You're saying, "Look, you're about to lose your house. Come, let me help you." And if you choose to hire me, then we're going to. I'll make money. You'll save your house. Everybody's going to be happy.
I think it's different because the chayrim that Rabbeinu Gershom was when you're opening up a closed letter.
It's I'm still
Now
private.
the Chazon Ish Dafke is machme. He says even on a postcard, Other the Chachamim say a postcard is a postcard. If the guy didn't bother to wrap it up, Chazon Ish says no. He feels that you should be machmir even a postcard. But here, information that came into the public domain. So you're not the Ganav now. You're
No,
not the
it's not
Ganav.
only that. His question is different. You're not looking to schmutz to someone. You're looking to grow your business. Who's in foreclosure? And,
The way you're looking to help him, actually.
Yeah, but you're also making money on it.
Of
So
course,
look, if you're helping, it's not pure. It's a non-profit where you're walking and saying I'm charging you $0.
You're not blackmailing
That's a very different story than if you're coming and saying, okay, if you choose to hire me, then I'll make money.
You don't have
I'll
to
make money.
blackmail him.
That's what I'm saying. You're not blackmailing.
You're not blackmailing.
You're not going on
But
the
it's
internet
still
board
saying
to
that.
buy
You're still being a rachel. You're still
I'll do even better. I'll do even better.
being treated like a rachel.
Half the world doesn't know this exists. They don't know this works. So I'll call people up. I'll see that somebody's in foreclosure. I'll get their phone number by their ways to find the phone number online, and I'll call to 2-3 numbers. I'll call one number, nobody answers. The next number they'll say, "Don't call that person. She doesn't know that she's in foreclosure. She's 85 years old. She's gonna have a heart attack if she finds out the house. She's losing her house." So I had somebody tell me that last week.
Wow.
So
Those are the laws. That's the law of common sense.
no, look, no, but the woman's 85 years old. She doesn't know she's in.
Yes.
She doesn't know this information. She doesn't know anything. She doesn't know anything.
So maybe you're doing her a favor.
Better she doesn't know. There's somebody who's taking care of it. But he
If
doesn't.
someone's taking care of it, don't tell
But he doesn't know what he's doing. If he was actually taking care of it, then I wouldn't be calling him up.
Let's go back to our Shaila. So in this Shaila, I think l'choira, if you're on the phone and you didn't hang up and you hear information, it's hard to imagine that you're in the chlal of Geneva or Gzela. As I said, Acharonim say even a postcard, you wouldn't be over Geneva or Gzela. However, probably you would be in the concept of Rechilus. You put your nose into someone, husband's wife, a conversation.
But if I'm in
and
the
for
phone-
sure not Avos Yisrael.
I'm in the phone with someone, and he told me, hold on. He went to the other phone, and I hear he's talking, why you didn't tell me? I can buy this house for $10 million. But he told me to hold on. What I would do? I have to listen to the conversation.
I say it depends. If it's a goy,
No,
you
my
could
question
listen.
is to tell him.
I'm answering
You
you.
hear that?
No, call me. I'll pay for. I'll buy the house.
If it's a goy, listen into the conversation. If it's a yid, hang up.
Hang up.
Yeah. If it's a
Even he
yid,
told
hang
you-
up.
Even he told you hold on.
Yeah.
so,
If it's
yes.
a yid, hang up. If it's a goy is not shaykh rechilus, is not shaykh v'aftalach kamoicha, it's not shaykh hezek. And Lamai stealing. That yukul decided to not hang up the phone. He put you on hold, and the while you're getting information. What's the difference? A goy, don't hang up. A
what
yid, hang up.
What I did, I think I did right. After 5-10 minutes, I hang up, and then I call him back, and I told him what happened. And I said, please, when you speak to someone, don't speak on the other phone, or make sure you hang up the other phone.
He was a yid?
Yeah,
Oh, you did good.
big guy,
Big
Syrian
yid.
guy.
A big yid. Okay.
Very, very big. But he did
Now
it.
what?
My employees on my service, I look at their emails to see what's going on.
It's a good shaila.
Well,
It's a good shaila.
Don't they usually have a disclaimer?
They have a
What-
disclaimer, but
Yeah, so once they
don't
come
know
into his business, he's telling them that whatever you write here is my information. It's the company's information.
Public information.
Not public information, the company's
the emails
information.
for personal stuff all the time.
Right.
And they're not supposed to, right?
Not supposed to.
It's a good shaila. It's a good shaila. If it's a goy, I would say it's on tzadakula, because listen, if it's a tech, Geneva Gzela, if a person signed a disclaimer, again, it's in Geneva Gzela. If it's a yid,
You can't sign a disclaimer? Why can't the yid sign it?
I'm,
They don't always make
even
it.
if the yid signed it, but
Sometimes just a click of the mouse on your screen when you log in. It's not so clear cut.
So maybe he should be clear cut. Rabbi Yid, I'm not been in the Shulchan Aruch. If you write anything over here, it's my business.
okay,
I mean,
that's fine.
people send
That's
their
fine.
emails from a person.
Right, that's
They
different.
trust him.
That's different. That's different. If you
You know-
tell a yid, you should tell Baruch B'tcha Ktana.
Not so
A
much.
goy, they signed a disclaimer. It's
know,
nicht
they
gegen
would-
Geneva, nicht gegen Gzela, gendig.
If the U.S. government would have done that, we would have found nearly 30,000 emails.
When I was in yeshiva many years ago, after Rabbi,
Okay, let's give
We would have said these are ours.
if he caught you passing notes in class, you'd read the note out loud.
That's good. That's good.
So the shaila is there an issue?
Same thing.
I had a Rebbe who, if he caught you, the has to know his class.
Took them in
He was talking about business. He was talking about
We
business.
had the same jerk as a Rebbe.
No, but this one did.
I had a Rebbe.
Give them business. Give them business.
I took out his wallet. And
I hear.
everybody also.
It's not like it's more than even writing on a postcard. He's saying it's more than a postcard. Right. I definitely agree. I would say it's not a shayla b'chlal. Okay, there's a shayla this week that the kala and the chosen have a shayla. Actually, the chosen shayla wasn't the kala's shayla. The mother's name is Dvaraleya, and the mother's name is Devoida, and the kala's name is Devoida Leia. Elamai, everyone calls her Devoida. So haste is that the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law would have the same name. So we know that the Rebbe said many times, based on the Tzemach Tzedek, that if one of them have a double name, that's not a problem. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda Chosid says that the father-in-law, son-in-law, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law should not have the same name. And Sado Agan Tzarichas and Shalsa Chuvas, the Rabbi Yehuda, others they make nothing of it. But for it, Minig Yisrael Torah, he to be very choshish for Rabbi Yehuda Chosid. I'm not going to go into the whole sugya. I'm sure the sugya will come up another time, so we'll go into the whole sugya then. And there's 7-8 reasons why he said it, and what's the nafkaminas, and what the Rabbi Yehuda, Shav Yaakov. Today, I just wanted this nakuda that the Chosna asked. Take it for granted that we're nizer for this thing of Rabbi Yehuda Chosid, the father-in-law and daughter and the son-in-law should not have the same name. Mother-in-law, daughter-in-law should not have the same name. Take it for granted that the Tzemach Tzedek said that if one of them has a double name, one of them is Menachem and the other one is Menachem. One is Dvoida Leia, the other one is Dvoida. That's not called had the same name. It's a different name. It's a different name.
Even if they call them by
Oh, the shaila is, it's now that they're calling the mother Dvoida. And the daughter-in-law, even though her name, when she was born, was Dvoida Leia. And probably when she writes upon to the Rebbe, she writes Dvoida Leia. And probably when her father makes a mishabeda for her, he says Dvoida Leia. But the poil, everyone calls her Dvoida. And what was the logic of the Tzemach Tzedek? The Tzemach Tzedek said, Nechaz Yanan. If you wrote a get for this person, and instead of Dvoida Leia, you'd write Dvoida, the guest would be puzzle or maybe bottle. But here, the guest would be B'diavad kosher, taka kosher. The Mishnah says Kosev Lamed Gimel and Gittin, Kosev Chani Chosev Chani Chosev kosher. If you write the nickname that everyone calls them, the get is kosher. So if a woman whose name is Dvoida Leia, but everyone calls her Dvoida, and you write a get Dvoida, the get is kosher. So the whole reason that Tzemach Tzedek, so this was the question that the Chosn is asking. Must he insist that his kala and the family and her friends, Bal Yero, Bal Yamotza, that today, from today on, everyone wants to call the Dvoida Leia, and if they call it Dvoida, she'll turn the other way.
Wasn't the whole issue of the of Rabbi Huda was for a daughter not to marry, a daughter-in-law not to have the same name as the mother-in-law.
Right, that's the question.
Before they get married. Now that they're married,
Who told you that?
Was there a ban then too?
Who told you?
You should marry someone who has the same name.
Who said they're married?
Who? No, but
they're married.
They're engaged.
The pashtus.
It's a minig.
The pashtus and on.
Oh, he's saying.
But what's the difference in your shiloh? What's the difference in your shiloh? Right now they didn't get married yet.
Oh, they didn't get married.
Got engaged this week.
Okay. They got engaged this week. I didn't get it. Okay, another question. What if you have one in Israeli that the parents call it Devora, and then the other one says Dvura? Is that No, because that the Shem Shel Katlus is nothing. It doesn't count. In Simon Kuf Chav Tes it says like if a guy's name is Yitzchok and everyone calls him Yitzchokol, so Yitzchokol doesn't count. Yitzchok and Yitzchokol is Hainu. Right. So this does count.
Yeah.
Because no one hears Dvura and the
no, because here they. Oh no, I'm saying the answer to your question is that it's the same. Yeah. If they call him with this or that, it's a Zalbazach, yeah. Latoy Volumutiv. In other words, if the mother-in-law's name is with one with a Svardi Avor and the daughter-in-law with Ashkenazi, that's not going to help you. That's not going to help you because in the get it's going to be written the same way because the din is befedish and I think it's Yudezid Gimel, it's in Kuf Chav Tes and Nebuchadnezzar. The Shem Shel Katnas doesn't count. But back to the question here is that the Chosn is asking that even though the Kal has a different name than his mother, but everyone calls her He's not asking lomdas. I'm telling you the lomdas. So now his father is insisting. Now I'm going to tell you the shaila. His father says that now an imposition for the daughter-in-law, Bekitze, that now she must send out an email to all her friends. Chatz v'sholem, you should never call me Dvoira. And if you're going to call me Dvoira, I'm going to turn the other way. I'm not going to answer you. I'm a little traumatizing. It's not was the shaila. He's saying he asked that the daughter-in-law must insist that from now on her parents and her friends
Walk around with a sign, my name is Verli.
No,
almost like that.
Just
I'm dramatizing it. There was nicht given the shaila. But the question was, is it good enough that the chosen, when he talks to her, will call her Dvoira Leia? He calls his mother, he'll say Dvoira. I mean, he's not going to call his mother with her name. But when he writes a kvittel to the Rebbe and he writes his name, so he'll write Ruvain ben Dvoira. And when he speaks to his wife, or when he writes a kvittel, he'll write Dvoira Leia. Is that good enough? Or she has to insist also to her friends? That was the question.
Rabbi, a question. A guy getting married.
Yeah.
His wife, Devorah.
Yeah.
His mother-in-law is Gioret, and she made her name Devorah too. What you do with that? I saw.
Who came first?
It's no problem.
I don't think so.
It's about respect.
It's no coverage, but
It's all about respect.
I mean,
It's a different question. So let's deal with the question we have.
By the way, we see from the Shotim, by the way, that they were married this way. Because there's not a single nephew, there's not a single son-in-law that had the same name as the Shveh.
Okay, so let's look at the tshuva that Tzemach Tzedek.
They made them up as they were
There's a lot of names.
The Rebbe is mitzayin a lot to this tshuva. Right, said Tzemach Tzedek, Mevar shesholem imenu, hine b'tshuva shevyok, chilek v'no ez, Simon Kol Gimel, nishal al kayoytze b'zeh, sheshem ha'chosen v'mechutin shaven. The chosen and the mechutin are the same name. The Eishiv sheshama mekam gedoyli rabbonim shelo ikpida az afil lechatchila k'metama mevur sham sheyesh loim shetzavo azu lezarak lezare da chosen nishmos hayeden. He wrote something at Tzavo. Tzavo is to the Yehuda Chosos, to his family. It was not to you. You're not from his grandchildren. It was Haksta Chainik. Kayoytze v'zakosa b'shaylos v'tshuva noida b'Yehuda madura tinyonachem v'evna ezes simenayin tez v'erech b'zeh. Ach, v'nidin dezeh, in your case, there was the father-in-law and the son-in-law. He said that one of them got sick, and the family was saying that maybe because of the reason. Didn't say tzarich l'chol zeh. The kivish ain't shmeisayim shavim mamish. Says zeh nikra Shmuel, v'zeh nikra Shmuel Binyamin. Im kein ein ze klal shmeisayim shavim. V'chein heishiv hadoini avi zikni hagoin the Alter Rebbe shegam b'inyan shem akala kashem Musa. He answered about this. Shebazeh yesh kepeda yoysen mishor shem shavim. Lefish zeh husker b'sefer mishnas achsidim gamken daf pei Yom Aleph. That's not in Tzavo Sarivosh. That he wrote the Mishnas Chassidim, and that's considered whatever's written Mishnas Chassidim is considered mamish, like Chamisha Chumshei Torah. V'loy husker sham oid davar klal. The only thing is Shem Kalak Hashem Chamusha. So that's the most common thing, having the same name of a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law. And all the answers that the Shev Yaakov and Noida Behuda gave was only for a father-in-law and a son-in-law. Ve'efsher hu Marizal. And it sounds that's shaykh that this is from Arizal. And if anything that comes from the Arizal to Klal Yisrael today is concepted like Mamish, it came from Malach Hashem Tzvok, it's from Moshe Messina. That's the way Eden treated. That's the Metzias.
Why the Ashkenazim don't, whenever creeks with halacha, they pass like the halacha. Not the
Right.
And
They pass like
With
the
that
Gemara.
reason.
Like
That
the
reason.
Gemara.
over here it's just a minute. Maybe
you're
it's-
talking B'chlal Mekubalim, not the Arizal. The Arizal, things from the Arizal are treated with a totally different thing than regular Mekubalim. The Metzias is that there's a word from the Groz. He says something like that. Whatever is from the Arizal is like Moshe Messinai. Anything that's coming, we see the Alter Rebbe also. He had there's a certain thing that Arizal different than all Gedolei Yisrael. Kilu Reb Shimon Bar Yochai himself spoke. V'lo nisker Sham Shia Zeh Lazari Dafka. So the Alter Rebbe was very choshish for the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law thing. Mashenke b'tzavos and Yudachos Sheyei Shlema Shazeu Larak Lazari. Im Kol Zeh, even though the Alter Rebbe was very choshish for mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. So he said, "Im ein shmeis shavin mamish." If the names are not equal mamish, Kegon shachas nikra rochel, v'abeis nikra Rivka rochel. Al derech mashal ein lochush. He said, if one is named Rochel and the other one Rivka rochel, the mother-in-law is Rochel and the daughter-in-law is Rivka rochel, it's not a problem. Kolshkim nidin zeh with the chosen and his father-in-law. The Shmoysa Mechotanim Ein Shavim Balavoch Ein Zekpedel Lefi Das Hashem Yaakov Hashem Gedolei Rabbonim Kshein Shavim Mamishkin Zein Shum Shash Klal Klal Ubechinam Hi Mitztaeres Ubetoila Buki Seruki Ba'ashida Chaz V'Shalom Aloi Davar Mamish Dem Didn't Zein Shum Shash Boilam. There was a klal. Basically, there was a shidduch that was made among two Chassidish families. And someone got sick, a father-in-law or the daughter-in-law. It's not clear in the letter, and the bubby over here in the family says they got to break the shidduch because one is Shmuel and the other is Shmuel ben Yomim, and that's what So Tzedek says buki saruki. It's a bubba maisis. Akaponim, there's one more thing. Tzemach Tzedek Piskei Dinim. He said
that's like in those days like Pechka Mechka.
Yeah.
But can I throw the question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The first of all, a lot of people say that the Rabbi Yehuda and the Chassid only meant for Zara, but that's only seems to be like a Das Yochid. Does everyone hold that way? That
No, not everyone holds. It's a machloikas if you
how
read
does he
Lazar.
know? How does he know? The one who said that the Shus Yaakov, whoever this is.
And the Noid Yehuda, these two,
How do they know? Where do they get?
They say
Where do they have
his
this
own
Kabbalah from?
Marsov was
We go by the right. If 999 Rabbanim say don't have such a Kabbalah, because Klaiso keeps the Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, at least Ashkenazi Jewry.
Yeah, but they
And then one Rav has this Kabbalah. Why do we even glorious it?
No, because there's a bit pilpul in them. Because they have, on these issues, because they bring a raya, they say everything he wrote, okay, Yidden accepted it because it doesn't, if it won't hurt, it won't help, it won't hurt, who cares? But they point out that, and that Tzemach Tzedek has a longer tshuva elsewhere where he agrees with them on principle, that, not elsewhere, and the Piskei Dimim, he brings more rayas. He said that you're not allowed to go against Shas. And on this thing with the son-in-law and the father-in-law having the same name, they bring a raya of like a half a dozen places in Shas that there were father-in-laws and son-in-laws that had the same name. So how could have Yehuda also went against Shas?
Right.
Elomai.
He must have had the second name.
No.
How do we
It
know?
must have. In those days, it was a very uncommon thing. It's something that happened maybe about 200 years
They bring
ago.
a raya about two sisters marrying two brothers.
They have a half a dozen rayas that Tzemach Tzedek is Moisav Kahena V'Kahena rayas.
They did like that.
Yeah, but they say, but must be that he didn't write against the Shas. He saw Baruch Kodsher for his family, that he saw Baruch Kodsher for his family that it's not good. But it can't be that he wrote it for, that's their taina. That's the taina of the Noid of Yehuda and the Shev Yaakov. And the Tzemach Tzedek is maskim. Elamai, the Tzemach Tzedek says that first of all, he says you could answer, you could say that
Other things became Umash.
that the Amoraim, they were not scared of these things. They had big schusim.
Exactly.
And Rabbi Yehuda Chos is telling you it's not also. He's telling you I know that these things are sakona. And the Amoraim, they were not choshish, they went meikir adin.
Right.
But for most of us, it's kedai to go lifnim yeshuras agdin.
Like going from an hour for dairy.
Okay, but to what extent?
A lot of
To what extent, though?
To what extent? It's very easy. So basically, the Alter Rebbe said, so I'm telling you, the Alter Rebbe said that what you should do is never break a shidduch over it. Make the shidduch, and the son-in-law or the daughter-in-law should add a name, and the Rebbe wrote that to many people. Exactly.
If they didn't know from the Rebbe's head, they never would have started the shidduch in the first
Right.
place.
The Rebbe said, not chas v'sholom, if you have a good atzah, a good shidduch comes up, a girl or a boy that a good boy, don't chas v'sholom doichid. Alamai, add a name. And who should add the name? The junior should add the name, not the senior.
The junior meaning
The daughter-in-law or the son-in-law should add the name. The shaila that we're asking here is, how many people must hold on to the other name? Let's first read that Tzemach Tzedek writes a reason. There's like a half a dozen reasons why the Yehuda Chosset might have said this. But Sayos, I'm dealing now with the Lubavitcher Chosset who asked this question. And so him is Negeya, that Tzemach Tzedek and the Rebbe Shita, so that's what we'll focus on now. Tzemach Tzedek has an unbelievable reason for this. Charanim say funny reasons. And he'll call his wife, and it said his mother's going to come. Chas v'sholom will sleep with the wrong person. It's like funny reasons. So all kinds of funny reasons that are very off.
They look alike.
Off the wall. But the Tzemach Tzedek has a reason that's like 4 times off the wall, but it's apisoid, and you can't argue with that. It's like Tzemach Tzedek has a reason like this. Apisoid nira lani is daiti klusha. Vim shagisi Hashem yechaper. Tom, Das Klusha means that Tzaddik was very humble, and he said that my mind is very feeble and weak, and the Eibusher will forgive me, but I want to say a reason that I think might be the reason that Rabbi Yehuda Chosin. Tam Ladas Sefer Chassidim b'Mashkotzav Shelo Yishem Kala Kashem Chamusa. Why shouldn't the Kala have the same name as her mother-in-law? V'api Hagdama Shmatia Merabbeinu Zichreinu Livrocha. I'll first give Hagdama of something I heard from the Alter Rebbe. Betam Sheisar Arois Niska B'Posa B'Shem Ervas. What does the word erva mean? What is the word erva? Gilui erva, being revealing erva. What is revealing an erva? What does that mean? So the Alter Rebbe said erva means secret, to revealing a secret. What secret are you revealing? Kilemayla yechudim dafke bebchinas elu shedezov nukre ach vachois is kemosh lamagala soida melech. In heaven, there's always a yichud between Zoh and Nukva. We talk the Shabbos, the whole thing about Yigash of Yehuda and Yosef. Who is Zoh and Nukva is the brother and the sister. So we're always making a marriage between a brother and a sister getting married. In Atzilus, it's the most beautiful thing. But it's only something that works in Atzilus. But now, in this world,
before the Torah
exactly, when the Shiftei Kah before the Torah, like Shaul ben Aknanis, that Shimon could marry Dinah. But for the rest of us in Olam Haza, it's like Megal Asoy. This is a secret that goes on only Behechlei Melech. This is something that only works Behechlei Melech. So now that Rabbi Yehuda Chosid was masig like this, Bino Malchus Shmoisein Shovin. That Bino Malchus had the same name, Shem Hagdoil Aleya, Shem Haktana, Shifra and Pua. It's a hay of Yutke Vovke, the upper hay and the lower hay. The upper hay is Bina, the lower hay is Malchus, and Bina is the mother-in-law, and Malchus is the daughter-in-law. So Beza Hay in Shovin, Lefize Yeshloim Adavke im Nikra b'Shem Zelavad al Kaponim. Afshi Yeshlo Oid Shemes Zelosan. Sharei Malchus Yeshlo Ayin Shemes. Makolmok and b'Shem Zeh Nikra Levad Kamay Bina. Malchus has 70 names. So what are you so worried about? But there is one of the 70 names that Malchus has is Hay, and in that Hay, Bina is the same like Malchus. So that's a concern. So now in our shaila of the mother-in-law being devoida and the daughter-in-law devoida leia, but some people call her devoida. Here's the shaila again. The shaila didn't ask what lom. The shaila just said, "I don't know what to do." So I'm telling you that this is l'chayda the shaila. The Rebbe writes. Look at the next paragraph. The Rebbe writes like this: "L'gabe father-in-law and a son-in-law. Im tzarach li kara b'fi anoshem b'shem Avram Mordechai." The father-in-law is Avram, and the son-in-law Avram Mordechai. Does everyone must call the son-in-law Avram Mordechai, or it's good enough that the son-in-law uses it when he gets Aliyah L'Torah? Lo shamati b'zeh hayra, says the Rebbe. B'meila yisna k'moy shenog ad ata. The Rebbe says, I didn't hear a clear hayra. Whatever, however you do it till now, keep on doing it. So. Okay, but Lamaisa, I would say like this. What seems to me as a Dova Poshet. And you have to check with Mesadri Gittin how they would be Machriya, but I think that it seems to me as a Dova Poshet like this. If it came to me, I get, where the woman has a name Dvoir Aleya, her husband calls her Dvoir Aleya, also maybe a few family members call her Dvoir Aleya. Elamai, a lot of her friends call her Dvoira. I'm not going to talk about lechatchila, but if the get was written only Dvar Alei and they ignored the Dvar, I'd say the get is kosher. I'd say the get is kosher because they wrote Dvar Alei
In the get.
The get Dvar Alei. Even though a lot of friends call her only Dvar, but Lepoil, her husband calls her Dvar Alei, and that's the name she wants to have. There's the din is that Shem Shignai you can't write. If a person doesn't like a name, says I don't want people to call me this name. You can't write it in a get. Here it's more than that. Her husband and close family call her Dvar Aleya. So you could say when the people call her Dvar, this Akitzer Hashem. It's not one name. If a person had the name Dvar Aleya and everyone calls her Miriam, that's a Chanicha. But here, her name is Dvar Aleya and her friends call her Dvar, that's Akitzer Hashem. And Befrat, that also her husband always calls her Dvar Aleya. Not only when he writes upon and when he makes an aliyah and a mishaberach, but that's when he calls his wife. So I don't think she has to go around to the whole world and make a big declaration and make everyone uncomfortable and make a whole hoopla and put a sign on her back and may send out an email. You should know if you ever chas v'shalom going to call me Dvar instead of Dvar Aleya, I'm not going to answer you. It's good enough that her husband and her mother-in-law will call her Dvar Aleya and Shalom Al Yisrael.
If
That's
the
with Sad
mother-in-law passed
Halacha.
away.
You're talking about the Shviger.
So,
Huh?
There's Halacha, and then there's Halacha for the Shviger. The Shviger is very upset that they have the same name.
So the Shviger should call her Dvar Aleya.
But she's all upset that her friends are going to call her.
She's the one who made the shidduch. What's her problem?
Yeah, exactly.
I have a friend that changed his name to Levi from Yosef Yitzchak. Now he's Levi Yitzchak.
Also,
Really?
also
Yeah.
when there's two names and a
It's
guest,
right,
you
it's
got to
a
put both
And he doesn't
names.
like
And
it
he's a Russian
because he doesn't like
And
it.
he's a Russian
No.
mob.
That knows you that the two names are lined up.
Right,
Put on the guest.
I don't know if you know my grandfather.
Why do you have a friend in Russian?
My grandfather.
That's a great question.
No, the Shviger.
Oh, the friends.
That's why you changed his
All
name.
the nicknames.
He changed it. He got my
Why do you think getting married to a Russian girl?
I'll tell you the name after.
If the person's makbid, then you have to go what they're makbid.
So my father, it's Ver. They know my father and my grandfather's name.
But it says Abakunu.
One more shayla. One second. One more shayla. Someone asked, Tuesday is a fast day, and he wants to know if he can brush his teeth. He can brush his teeth on a fast day.
Without water, why not?
So he wants to use water too. So
His fingers.
so the Oira Chaim in Siman Tovkuf Samach Zayin Tziv Gimel says, Misha darke lirchatz piv b'shachlis b'tainas sibur loy kosher l'meved hochi. It's not the right thing to do to wash your mouth with water to rinse it when it's a tainas sibur. Aval tainas yochil, if it's your private fest, shorty, it's allowed. Kivin shapayla, you're spitting out the water. The Mishnah Berurah says, "B'mokim tzar, if a person is tzar, yesh lahater echitzas peh, it actually is or b'yoser, lichfoi f'roishay upiv lamatoi, you should bend your mouth, that chas v'sholom, a drop shouldn't go into your mouth. B'tisha b'av, he says, only if it's a tzar, good, then you can brush your teeth, and Yom Kippur it's also legamri. However, I just want to point out that this is all negaya Yom Kippur.
Kippur's like a Shabbos. You can't brush it.
Let's say he didn't use a brush. He used a Shabbos. He used a Shabbos brush. Okay. Now there is Pnei Yeshua, and the Pnei Yeshua Be'emes argues in the whole premise of this simon. The Pnei Yeshua argues in the whole premise. What's the premise of this simon? The premise of the simon is that the Gemara says in Barachis that a shayla, if a person is allowed to be toyim on a fast. There's a machlokes Rishonim. What does it mean if you're allowed to be toyim? Most Rishonim say that it means that you're going to put the food in your mouth and spit it out. What's the shayla? The Gemara says, "Achilu shtia kabil alei, or dilma hanoa kabil alei." When you were makabel the fast, when you're makabel, you're not going to eat and drink, and now you're not eating and drinking because you're spitting it out. Or you're makabel not to have anoa, lapoil, you have anoa, and it seems to be lechumen at the end. So Tosfos says, one second. This whole thing is betainis yochid, but tainis hakosav loy. This is only betainis yochid. But if it was a tainis from the Torah, that doesn't apply. So what does that mean? So the Beis Yosef says that means that by tainis sibur you have to be machmir. By tainis sibur you have to be machmir. The Pnei Yeshua says wrong. The opposite. By a tainis sibur you have to be makel. Why? Because when you take a tainus on yourself, is a shayla, what did you take upon yourself? Not to eat and drink or not to have a noah? But when the Eibishter made a tonus, or the Chazal made a tonus, they said you're not allowed to eat and drink. They never said you're not allowed to have a noah. So since you're putting the water in your mouth, you're spitting it out. So you were not makabel the tainus asora b'tevis on yourself. The Chazal put it on you. So why can't you put? They said you're not allowed to have achila v'shtia, but to rinse out your mouth is 100% mutter according to the Pnei Yeshua.
What the worry about washing out of your mouth is you might swallow some of the water.
That's what he says.
Put your head down.
No, your mouth is still, unless you take a towel and you go like this, you wipe by your whole mouth. You're gonna, excuse me, you're gonna be drinking something.
But the Gemara should have said that. But the Gemara doesn't argue that. The Gemara doesn't say that.
Say what?
The Gemara,
Mouth is
but the
wet.
Gemara asks if you're allowed to take the water in and spit it out. The Gemara says if it would have been an issue of only your makabel on yourself, achil v'shtiya, would have been mutter to do that. The Gemara doesn't say, hey, but a little drop is going to go in. Shema me know that the Gemara didn't care about that. If one drop will go in, only if you'll say that makabel also not to have anoah. So the Shulchan Aruch accepts when the Tosfos says that this is only a shayla b'tanas yochel, tanas sibur is different, l'chumra. But the Pnei Yeshua says, Rabbi Nemes, right? The Chainik for the Pnei Yeshua. So the Pnei Yeshua says the opposite. The whole shayla in the Gemara was a tainus yochid. Tainus sibur was only a shayla of achila v'shtiya. It's mashra from the Gemara that if there's only issa of achila v'shtiya, so we're not choshish for a drop of water. Anyway, lamaisa Shulchan Aruch passes l'chumra.
Who's makabel in the tainus yochid isra hano?
The Gemara
It's
is
only on
one,
Yom Kippur that you have this issue.
because the Gemara says because you go basar hedyet.
The head's just not interested in. He's not going to. If his hands are chapped, he's going to smear something on his hands. If
No,
his,
but anoah.
or if his
When the Gemara says
if
anoah,
his
it
feet
means
is dirty, he'll take a
it
shower.
means anoah, putting something in your mouth.
That's the only anoah.
Halachically, this is not considered achila v'shtiya. Mit'emes is not considered achila v'shtiya. But when a person says hareini mekabel alai mochat tainus, is not being mefalful what al pidin has to din of achila v'shtiya.
So he'll jingle pacham mashir if he can be makabel on the jemei tainus, but pacham mashir can drink.
If he says that, is a good shaila. It's a good shaila. But I'm saying with Lepoil, that's what the Gemara asks. So Lamaisa the Shulchan Aruch passes l'chumra, but the Mishnah Brura does say that if you want to be, so you can wash. Now there's an added thing when you wash your mouth with Listerine or with toothpaste, because toothpaste and
Brushing your
Listerine.
teeth with toothpaste.
Yeah, because when you're brushing your teeth with
Then you
toothpaste
don't want to swallow.
or Listerine, what happens is that if you drink Listerine on a tainus, even if you drink a revius or more than a revius, you're not
Not getting on the.
there's no anoah. If a bela is not breaking your fast. If mainly you're not breaking your fast.
So you're allowed to do that?
L'chatchila to drink Listerine, there's a different reason why it's also.
Rinse out with this.
If you taste it, you can't swallow.
So I'm saying if you put it all together. If you put it all together, that Pnei Yeshua says with water l'chatchila yalat. Shulchan Aruch is machmir. The Mishnah Brura says if you have tsar, you could do it. But bezman hazeh people are not rinsing with water; they're rinsing it with Listerine or with Crest or with scope. It's something that's not the roy. Once you mix it with the water, this water is not roy
They
l'shasiya.
don't want to swallow
And
it.
even if you did choice it, you wouldn't be over. So therefore, I don't think there's a problem on the three taniyas. But versteht a Tisha B'av not, and Yom Kippur is the chosur.
1 second. Tisha B'av, if on Yom Kippur you did it without any vaser, it's like you did it. It's like you took a napkin in your mouth.
On Tisha B'av?
Yeah. You're not getting hana. You just okay. You're doing the mitzvah deraisa without the rock of so someone can walk within 5 feet. He's not getting any of this.
They have a balance of three
There's
problems.
none of the isurim applies. Why should any of the isurim
If a
apply?
person has such a tsar godel, he can rely on the Mishnah Brura. I mean, the Mishnah Brura says if you have tsar godel, you can do it even with water on the
No, but I'm
Tisha B'av.
saying, but I'm saying that he has no, none of the 5 isurim applies to mouthwash. What applies? It's not getting. It's not enjoyable.
No, you don't
Just
want
to
it.
kill the bacteria in your tongue. Most of the bad breath comes from the stuff on your tongue. So you enjoy. It's not enjoyable.
Afterwards,
Maybe okay. He's not allowed. But if you have a regular person that takes mouthwash, come on, no. It's just you just want to get rid of the bad.
Okay, you can add that to the sword. Listen, the Mishnah Brura says if you have tsar godel, then you're allowed to do it with water even. Listerine is 10 times better.
Right.
Okay.
Does the job.
Yom Yom is mashma not we don't rinse our mouth on time.
Right. Because the Rebbe Rashab
Let's
was
find out
very
water.
medayik. No. He's. I'm sorry, I forgot this nekuda. The Rebbe Rashab was very medayik always to wash his mouth in the morning, because not to use your mouth. It's a halacha, but the Rebbe Rashab was very medayik in it, and Tamimim are very medayik in it to wash their mouth in the morning before you say Hashem's name. However, it brought na Yom Yom that not on a fast. But the Rebbe Rashab was not dealing with Listerine. Listerine is not water. Me and
What
you
is
would
it,
guess that the Rebbe Rashab probably wouldn't do it with Listerine either, but that's Hashodas and guessing. Lapoil, he's talking in Ayomim about water. He's not talking about Listerine, and he's not talking about doing it with toothpaste.
One of the pills in those days is that people had better breath then. No one, they didn't have as much teeth, the stuff didn't get stuck in the teeth. And they ate bread. Bread cleans your whole thing. They ate more bread. Everyone. I once had a Rebbe in yeshiva.
And in bread, you don't have bad
When I
bread?
was younger, I had a Rebbe in yeshiva, and he was always in the spot that people didn't wash before a meal. I said, who doesn't wash before a meal? Like he's from an older generation. Everyone used to wash before a meal. And he saw people, the bucket weren't washing. He said, who doesn't wash before? Like he was going crazy. When you eat more bread, mamash, your breath is better.
Yeah?
It's good. They say it's good for your gums. It takes stuff between your teeth out. Yeah, and I'm telling you. The kind of bread you eat, the bread you eat.
The real bread. The real bread.
Bread was a meal.
Yeah, they couldn't afford much more, but that bread.
You don't see the correlation.
Alzheimer's can't understand.